Business. Marcus Carlson is back, and we're going to begin this evening, Marcus, with the action or inaction of the European Central Bank.
You're absolutely right there, Melissa. Mario Draghi and the European Central Bank really took centre stage on Thursday as the central bank held its monthly rate-setting meeting, and it kept its benchmark interest rate steady at 0.25%, which is a record low. At the same time, Mario Draghi said that the ECB is ready to take action if need be. Draghi, he spoke as inflation has slipped for the past months. It's currently far below the ECB's own target rate of 2%, and there are fears that deflation could hurt the Eurozone economy. Draghi hinted that the ECB is ready to stimulate the economy by buying government bonds, like the Federal Reserve has done in the United States. But he's not ready to bring out that big bazooka just yet.
We do not exclude further monetary policy easing, and we firmly reiterate that we continue to expect the ECB interest rates to remain at present or lower levels for an extended period of time.
And it seemed as if the European markets liked the prospect, at least, of some quantitative easing done by the European Central Bank, because European shares got a pop on that news. As you can see right here, the Paris CAC 40 up 0.4% at the end of the trading day. The picture was slightly different over in London, where we saw a mild loss there for the FTSE 100. In the United States, this hour, we are seeing red arrows across the board, really. It looks as if the American markets will snap a 4-day winning streak, as the focus is turning very much to an unemployment report expected from the US labour market on Friday. We're going to switch gears now. European and African leaders have vowed to strengthen cooperation between their two continents. It came at the end of a 2-day EU-Africa summit in Brussels. European Council President Herman Van Rompuy pledged funds to help with development and security. He also said the European Union wants to drum up 30 billion euros worth of infrastructure investments in Africa. Van Rompuy said that the money will be raised with the help of the private sector. At the summit, leaders also agreed to change the relationship between Africa and Europe. They say that they want to shift away from aid to trade instead. It comes at a time when African economies are outpacing Europe in terms of growth. Rwanda, for example, has emerged as one success story. Delano De Souza has more.
It's been compared with Singapore in its ease of doing business. 20 years after a genocide destroyed its economy, Rwanda appears to have turned itself around. Unlike other economies in Africa, the country has few raw materials to exploit, so instead, they've turned to tea.
Tea is the #1 export, and it will continue to be so because there's a lot of expansion going on in Rwanda. There are so many new factories coming up, and in certain districts there is more land being cultivated.
Between 2001 and 2012, the Rwandan economy grew at an average of 8%, above the rate for sub-Saharan Africa. GDP per capita has increased by 5 times in 20 years, but the country still has a long way to go.
In 1984, Rwanda's per capita GDP was $130. This is very, very low. And now, in 2012, the per capita GDP increased to $620.
While a third of the country's economy is currently dependent on agriculture, by 2020, Rwanda wants to focus more on services instead. It's seeking to lift more people out of poverty.
Rwanda is one of the best performing developing countries in the world. It's not only about the growth rate, but also in terms of poverty reduction and reducing inequality.
While Rwanda's turnaround story is positive, poor infrastructure remains an obstacle to foreign investment. Foreign aid accounts for 40% of the country's budget, something the government of President Paul Kagame won't be able to rely on forever.
Let's look at a few other stories we're watching for you. France's foreign minister is taking charge of the trade portfolio in the French government. That's a first in France and in the history of the Fifth Republic. The news was announced after rumors of a power struggle in the government over trade policy. It was reported that both Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius and Economy Minister Arnaud Montebourg wanted the portfolio in connection with the government reshuffle this week. Russian energy company Gazprom says the size of Ukraine's gas bill has risen to $2.2 billion, and it wants the Ukrainian company Naftogaz to take immediate steps to pay that debt. On Tuesday, Gazprom announced that it would raise the price of gas exports to Ukraine. The company's chief executive said Gazprom had cancelled the previous discount due to Ukraine's mounting debts. And the chief executive of Lufthansa says he's hoping for a quick resolution to a standoff with the airline's pilots. It comes during a 3-day walkout by pilots over a plan to scrap an early retirement scheme. Lufthansa says it expects a strike between Wednesday and Friday to lead to 3,800 cancellations altogether. Okay, it seems as if the patience of travellers will be tested at least for one more day when it comes to that Lufthansa strike. Melissa, back to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Marcus Carlson, with a look there at the latest business news. 21 minutes past 9. We're going to have a look now at what's making waves on the internet. It's web news.